Welcome to Plot Twist, where we dive into the heart of cinema's most unexpected moments. Every story has a twist, but some twists leave you speechless. Are you ready for the twist? All the workers working at the mine are killed, and those who survive are immediately hospitalized. All these incidents take place there. As soon as this news comes to light, Bureau 747 takes control of the mine to thoroughly research everything. Bureau 749 is actually a secret research center where such things are studied that are not revealed to the public, such as top-secret matters like aliens or certain types of viruses. Whenever such things surface, this bureau conducts research on them. However, the workers who were sent to the hospital from the mine are in very poor condition. It seems as though whatever was inside the mine has had a profound effect on their bodies, infecting them with a virus. One by one, all the workers die. Among them, there is a female worker who is about to become a mother. She struggles to give birth to her child and dies shortly afterward. The story then jumps to 18 years later, where we see the child who was born before the female worker's death. The child's name is Masan. Since Masan's mother was infected by something from the mine, Masan possesses certain supernatural powers. Whenever his powers activate, wings resembling skeletal structures similar to the remains found in the mine emerge from his back. However, Masan doesn't understand the purpose of these powers, nor does he want to use them. He wishes to live a normal life like any other human being. Masan now lives with David, the former chief of Bureau 749, and his wife Julia, as Masan became an orphan after his mother's death. David raised him as his own son and keeps him away from the Bureau, knowing that they would conduct experiments on Masan to understand his powers. David doesn't want this to happen and gives Masan a special medicine that helps control his powers, ensuring they don't spiral out of control. In the next scene, David checks his computer and learns about a dangerous new mission by Bureau 749. They have discovered a massive, terrifying monster in the sea far from the city. The monster is growing in size day by day and is so dangerous that no attack has any effect on it. Soldiers sent to kill the monster have failed. However, they collected a sample of the seawater, which contained a smaller version of the monster. These small monsters collectively empower the larger one. Soldiers have brought the smaller monster to the Bureau for research. Though it is tiny, even smaller than a finger, it can chew through the toughest metal and take control of any animal, eventually killing it. If the small monster is this powerful, imagine the capabilities of the larger one. Scientists at the facility are working on understanding and controlling the small monster. David becomes alarmed, realizing a massive disaster is imminent. He suspects the Bureau will come looking for Masan, hoping his powers could help defeat the monster. But David doesn't want this to happen, as it would endanger Masan's life. The next day, several people from the Bureau arrive at David's house to take Masan. However, before they arrive, David sends Masan away with Julia to keep him safe. The Bureau searches David's house thoroughly, but doesn't find Masan. Meanwhile, Masan and Julia are fleeing when Bureau agents spot them. Since the Bureau had set up blockades everywhere, Julia tells Masan to get out of the car and escape on foot. Masan begins fleeing on a skateboard, but the Bureau agents continue chasing him. Masan reaches a metro station and boards a train. However, he notices that no one else is on the train, indicating something is wrong. Before he can figure out what's happening, the metro locks itself and heads directly toward the Bureau. It becomes clear that the Bureau had intentionally chased Masan to the metro station, trapping him in their plan. Their strategy succeeds. Inside the metro, Masan encounters a girl named Jenny, who is actually his friend. Masan had spent his childhood in the Bureau. There were other children with different kinds of powers living there, on whom the Bureau conducted thorough research. But when Masan used to live in the Bureau as a child, the other children would make fun of him. This was because whenever Masan's powers activated, strange wings would emerge from him. Due to this, everyone teased him by calling him a devil or a monster. However, during that time, only Jenny stood by Masan, which is why seeing Jenny now makes Masan feel a little less scared, and he agrees to go to the Bureau with her. Upon arriving there, he sees many dangerous and mysterious animals and fish being researched by the Bureau. He also encounters other people with superpowers who warmly welcome him. Though they had teased him in childhood, it was just in jest. Now that they have grown up, they genuinely consider Masan a very good friend. On the other hand, David finds out that the Bureau has captured Masan, and he becomes very angry. He questions himself, why did I send Masan with Julia? How could Julia make such a big mistake? How could she let Masan go alone? These thoughts plague his mind. Meanwhile, Masan is taken to the new Bureau chief, James, who tells him, look, we need your help to fight the monster. Your mother gave birth to you after surviving the mine attack, and whatever powers you have are connected to that mine. There must be some link between the monster and the mine. That's why we want you to take this golden opportunity to defeat the monster and save the world. But Masan outright refuses, saying he doesn't want to help anyone. Hearing this refusal, James begins to threaten him directly, saying, "If you don't help us, it won't take me long to kill David and Julia. The choice is yours. Help us or watch them die." Now, as you know, after Masan's mother passed away, David and Julia raised him and gave him parental love. For their sake, Masan agrees to help James. After this, a test is conducted to check Masan's powers. During the test, a scientist attacks Masan with an extremely heavy ball to provoke him into activating his powers for self-defense. However, the ball beats Masan so badly that his condition worsens, yet he still doesn't activate his powers. This is because he remembers how activating his powers turns him into a monster-like being, which he detests. But eventually, Masan becomes so angry that his powers activate, causing all the balls to explode on the spot. The entire bureau system shakes. Strange wings start emerging from Masan's back, but he faints because he still doesn't know how to control his powers. Everyone immediately rushes to help him. Some scientists find the medicine in Masan's bag that David used to give him to prevent his powers from going out of control. While unconscious, Masan has a strange dream in which he sees the terrifying monster and becomes very scared. This dream jolts him awake, leaving him confused about what is happening to him. As soon as he gets a chance, he tries to escape from the bureau. However, James locks down the bureau and catches him, threatening him again, saying, "It seems you don't care about David and Julia, which is why you're trying to escape. If you try this again, I won't just threaten you, I will kill your parents directly." After this, James instructs Jenny to keep an eye on Masan and prevent him from trying to escape again, as she's the only one he listens to. Jenny has telekinetic powers, allowing her to control anything. While she couldn't use her powers effectively as a child, she now wields them skillfully. Meanwhile, the scientists inform James that the sea monster has started growing in size. If this continues, it will attack the entire city within a week. They need to act quickly to avoid a major catastrophe. Alongside this, after researching the medicine found in Masan's bag, they discover that it controls Masan's powers. If Masan stops taking this dose, he will be able to use his powers effectively. However, they need to find out who created the last dose of this medicine for Masan. On the other hand, David goes to a newspaper company and publishes news about Masan's disappearance. His idea is that if Masan hasn't been captured by the Bureau and has run away somewhere, he will see the newspaper and come to David. Meanwhile, James brings Masan to the small monster and says, "Control it. I want to see if you can communicate with it or not." When Masan refuses, James forcibly smashes his face into the glass. The place where the small monster was present is where this event occurs. The small monster senses Masan's powers and then shows him some visions of the future, revealing what the monster actually intends to do. The monster invites Masan to join forces with him so that together they can destroy the entire world. Witnessing this, Masan is deeply disturbed, but does not reveal to anyone that he had spoken to the monster. However, after checking the data, James learns that something had definitely transpired between the two. Masan is then brought near the same metal fragments that were found in the mine. The Bureau officials are trying to join the fragments using a magnetic field to determine what these objects really are. As Masayan approaches the site, his powers begin to activate, and he finds himself in a completely different place. There he encounters three alien-like beings, who inform him that these metal fragments are not just pieces of metal, but the core of their spaceship. They have come to seek his help in saving the world. About 50,000 years ago, this monster first arrived on Earth. The aliens had managed to trap the monster inside the mine with great difficulty, but when the workers excavated the mine, the monster was set free again and is now bringing destruction. Only Masan can stop it. Serenia, and that too with the help of the spaceship's core. When the mine exploded, the power released from within attacked Masan's mother, killing her, but Masan survived. The mine's power contained the DNA of both the three aliens and the monster, which has now been absorbed by Masan. This is why Masan is the only person capable of defeating the monster. The three aliens want Masan's help for this reason. Upon learning all this, Masan is shocked, and his powers begin to activate again. As this happens, all the metal fragments start coming together to form the core. As the core is being prepared, the small monster begins to weaken. This indicates that the core and Masan's powers are the only means to destroy the monster. However, the problem arises when Masan's powers go out of control and he becomes unconscious, halting the core's formation. the small monster regains its strength. This means Masan's first task is to gain control over his powers. Only then can he complete the core and destroy the monster. But just a while ago, as the core was being formed, the larger monster sensed its presence. The monster releases a kind of smoke, and any innocent birds that come into contact with it transform into monsters and start killing humans. They then form a protective barrier around the larger monster to ensure its safety. Seeing this escalating crisis, James devises a plan to compel Masan to activate his powers. He creates an emergency in the Bureau, opening all the doors so that Masan can escape. Naturally, when a caged person sees an open door, they will try to escape. Masan does exactly that. However, on his way out, he encounters a girl named Tina, who is also trapped inside the Bureau. She asks Masan to save her. Meanwhile, those with superpowers are being prepared to fight the larger monster. If the monster attacks, they will at least try to save people and stop the monster. James approaches David and confronts him, saying, "I know you were the one giving Masan the medicine to keep his powers under control. We entrusted Masan to you to take care of him. Why did you do all this? Why did you give him the medicine?" This makes it clear that David still works for the Bureau and had kept Masan with him on their orders. David tells James, "While living with Masan, I grew attached to him and started seeing him as my own son. I didn't want him to become a monster. I wanted him to live a normal life. That's why I created the medicine for him. In fact, even he didn't want to become a monster." Meanwhile, Masan and Tina arrive at a bar run by Julia. Seeing Masan, Julia is overjoyed and says, "You're back." Everyone celebrates by throwing a party. But suddenly, the larger monster begins to amplify its powers and tries to emerge from the ocean. The other superpowered individuals arrive to fight it. However, this causes Masan's powers to go out of control again. To manage this, he drinks the medicine created by David. But Tina, under James's orders, had switched the medicine with another one that would not suppress Masan's powers, but drastically enhance them. As a result, Masan's powers activate and wings emerge from his back. Everyone in the bar is shocked to see this and starts recording videos of Masan, thinking it's part of a movie shoot. Seeing so many people behaving this way reminds Masan of his childhood when he was bullied. This causes him to completely lose control. James tells his team, "Our work is done. Masan's powers have fully activated. Capture him." Some soldiers inject Masan with a sedative to knock him unconscious. But before losing consciousness, Masan sees Tina with James and realizes that Tina has betrayed him. This makes him feel very bad. The rest of the superpowered beings start loading the creature into a vehicle to take him to the Bureau. However, midway, the creature regains consciousness and blows up the vehicle, escaping immediately. As soon as James hears about the creature's escape, he goes back to David, thinking the creature might have come to him. Upon arriving, James sees many medicines that resemble the ones meant for the creature. He asks David why he made so many medicines, and David explains that he had been researching for about 10 years. After a decade of hard work, he created a medicine capable of controlling the creature's powers. Similarly, if they give an overdose of this medicine to the massive monster, its power can be significantly reduced, making it easier to kill. James says, "Look, I know you're doing this for the creature and everyone else is good, but even with these medicines, we'll still need the creature. So please send him to the Bureau. He will surely agree to save the world if you ask him. Otherwise, millions of lives will be lost." Initially, David refuses because he had promised the creature that he wouldn't let him become a monster. But for the greater good, he agrees. Using a tracker, David finds the creature sitting sadly on a building terrace. David approaches him and explains everything, saying, "Son, I raised you on the Bureau's orders. Now you must go to the Bureau. They need you to save the world. Forgive me, I couldn't keep my promise to you." Hearing this, the creature becomes sad and heartbroken, feeling betrayed by his own people. He leaves everyone behind and hides from the world so no one can find him. Meanwhile, with the creature missing, the Bureau fears the massive monster could emerge from the sea at any moment and wreak havoc. James prepares the entire military to attack and at least slow it down. First, the entire city is evacuated to keep innocent people as far from the monster as possible. Otherwise, the monster will annihilate all of humanity. All the superpowered individuals in the Bureau bid farewell to their families, sending them away from the city, as no one knows who will survive this battle, who will win, or who will lose their life. David gives Julia some money and tells her to leave the city as soon as possible. "I can't leave because I still have one last task to complete. I won't go anywhere until I do it." Julia understands David's intentions. He plans to use his medicine to weaken the monster so others can kill it, even though it will cost him his life. This deeply saddens Julia. She insists, "No matter what happens, I won't leave my family behind. I will stand by you. Together we will defeat the monster." Hearing this, David becomes very emotional, and they embrace each other. Meanwhile, the sea monster begins attacking the city. Those who couldn't escape are mercilessly killed. The entire city is in chaos, and if nothing is done soon, everything will be destroyed. Jenny decides to find the creature, knowing exactly where he might be hiding. She quickly heads to the orphanage, where the creature was kept after birth. The creature is hiding there, extremely angry and thinking about why David betrayed him. David had told him he had left the Bureau long ago, but in reality he was still working for them. The creature wonders, "When my own people are betraying me, why should I save the world?" Jenny explains to him, "Don't you remember when your powers went out of control, almost destroying the house? David risked his life to save you, losing both his legs in the process. You're not his biological son, but David loves you more than his own child. The reason he wants to send you to the Bureau is that he values the lives of millions over his own. You are the last hope for millions of people. That's why you must go and destroy the monster." Hearing this, the creature realizes he was wrong to be angry with David. He feels he made a huge mistake and calls David, who is now standing in front of the massive monster. David says to the creature, "Son, never be afraid of your powers. They are the most beautiful gift you have received. I hope you understand what I'm saying." After saying this, David and Julia attack the massive monster, injecting all the medicines into it. In the process, both lose their lives, but they manage to subdue the monster using the medicines. It is an incredibly emotional moment. Their sacrifice enrages the creature, who sets out with Jenny to the Bureau to retrieve the spaceship core, which can help destroy the monster. On the way, they are surrounded by numerous monstrous birds, and they start attacking it. But just then, James arrives there with a helicopter, rescuing Masson and Jenny. But on the way, several bird-like monsters surround him and begin attacking. However, James manages to save Masson and Jenny and brings them to the Bureau. Yet the bird monsters also follow them there. While others fight them off, Masson proceeds to connect the core. Meanwhile, the large monster breaks free from David's drug's effect. It had realized that Masson was attempting to create the core, so it heads straight toward the Bureau to destroy both Masson and the core. Meanwhile, the bird monsters have caused significant destruction to the Bureau. At this point, James uses his helicopter to dive straight into their flock, killing many of them. However, he was unaware that escaping from there was impossible, and as he feared after killing numerous monsters, James's helicopter crashes, costing him his life. Friends, it must be said that James wasn't a bad person. He was just determined to save the world at any cost. In the process, he sacrificed his life. Now the large monster enters the Bureau wreaking havoc, but by then, Masson completes the core. As he grabs the core, the monster completely entangles Jenny, trying to crush and kill her. Seeing this, Masson throws the core high into the air and immediately rushes to Jenny to save her. However, Jenny uses her telekinetic powers to push the monster away, as she knew that only Masson would reach her there and nothing else. And what happened as a result? All the sacrifices went in vain? She tells Masson that now the responsibility of saving the world lies solely on him. Don't let this monster win. As she says this, the monster also kills poor Jenny. Now, having witnessed each of his loved ones being killed by the monster, Masson's anger reaches its peak. He rushes to the core, but just as he reaches it, the monster thrusts its tentacle straight into Masson. Masson's condition deteriorates, and he loses consciousness. Those who were still trying to fight the monster are left teary-eyed, as their last hope seems to be fading away. At that moment, Masson recalls some childhood memories, the ones when his mother was giving birth to him. She knew her child would be born mutated, but she still told all the doctors that her child would one day make a name for himself in the world. Witnessing this in his dream, Masson regains consciousness. As a drop of his blood falls onto the core activates. The core's power absorbs the large monster, along with all the parts of the spaceship it had absorbed, releasing them. The spaceship becomes operational again. Following this, the three aliens come to Masson and thank him, as it was because of him that such a dangerous monster was defeated. They also entrust him with the responsibility of continuing to protect the world in the future. Thus, Masson finally destroys the monster and saves the world from destruction. In the movie's final scene, paintings and exhibits are displayed in a museum, showcasing how Masson saved the world so future generations could learn about his heroic deeds. Seeing this, Masson feels immense happiness. With this, the story comes to an end. If you liked the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel,